Hello everyone, welcome to the video. In this video, we'll be talking about the Questrade API. Alright, so we're finally moving towards actually using the financial part of this project, which is the Questrade API. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is going to be going over the Questrade API documentation, and we're going to be checking out how to authorize, how to authenticate ourselves and how to create authorization to this API so we can actually use it to call stuff on my account. And so we're going to start pretty slow. We're going to be looking at some basic login calls and how to write it in F# with F#, with actually .NET notebooks. So we're actually using .NET notebooks here. Probably not using them as well as I could because I'm not using the whole like cells things. I'm just kind of like writing it in one cell. So it's not like really cool, but you know, it's pretty fun. And we talk about how to do HTTP calls with F#. So we look at a few libraries. I talk about Oryx and FS HTTP mostly. So we're going to be using Oryx for a project, and I talk a little bit about the difference between that. You can also always just use the API client from .NET, and all of these use that underneath. Like, let's not kid ourselves. And yeah, so FYI, I actually never used Oryx before. Normally when I used to, like, normally when I write F#, I was always like, I was coming from a C# background, so what I did is I always used the HTTP client straight up, like underneath, but recently I've been like looking at more frameworks, so I'm kind of like starting out with this framework. So yeah, so I'm kind of learning at the same time. It's why sometimes I look like an idiot. That's kind of why it's happening. So yeah, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like. It really helps me out, helps the channel out, and comments always accepted. I answer a lot of questions, so if you want that, you can go ahead and do so. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, welcome back. So let's play around and do a little proof of concept for the Questrade API. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the API documentation itself. So there's a little bit of a getting started, creating your first personal app. So this is kind of stuff I have to do in my account. So obviously there is going to be some sensitive information, but I'm going to do my best to like show you some stuff. Obviously, you know, there's some information that you won't have access to, but I don't care like showing like what I have in my account. Like I have only a small amount in this account, so I don't really mind. But just like for my security, not get hacked or anything, you know, I'm just going to show some stuff off camera or hide it off camera. Anyway, so the first thing I have to do is I have to create my personal app. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I now logged into my account. You can kind of see it here off screen. And I'm going to go to the app hub. And here I think I can show this. One sec. Okay, so here I can go ahead and do register a personal app, I think, and then I can give it a name and stuff. So let's do it, StonkWatch, and I'll just put whatever here, and then retrieve balances, order positions, and executions. That's good. You know, actually what I'll do is I'll actually split them, I feel, just for fun. Because in our system, they're going to be two different, totally different things. And I feel it's going to be better to have like one module that's the market data provider and another module that's the balance and retrieving stuff provider. So I think that's a pretty decent call here. So I'm going to do save. So here I can create a new device and I can generate a new token. And to be honest, I don't mind you showing this because I'm going to delete it by the time you see this video, so I don't really mind it. And I think it's a one-time use anyways, so that's also fine. So here I have a refresh token, so I'm going to copy this and put it in a code document. So I'm just going to do N here and do BAM, so I have it saved here. And so this is a refresh token. So this token is to basically ask for an access token. You need a refresh token. And you'll see a bit more about that when I go back to the documentation. So I'll go back to the documentation. So in the documentation, creating our first app. Under, yeah, we did all this. Manual authorization, create a new generate token. Copy the token before you close it. For security reasons, they do not store the token information in a decrypted format, which is good. So they keep it encrypted. And it'll expire in 7 days. So that's also good. Basically how it works is once you ask for a token, you can't use the same refresh token again. So that's good for me because I'm making this video and you can't just like use my access token, whatever. And so they're asking us to put it in this in this URL and put it at the end of this URL, and it tells they're telling us that we're going to get this as a response. So okay, we can go ahead and try that. So we can just start around with Postman. Postman is a Google Chrome extension. We're just going to scribble around with this for now, just to get an understanding of the API, and then we're going to jump on do some F# interactive scripting, just to develop a little bit of what we're going to write as an API client, and then eventually in another video we can move it to the source code. And so the advantage of F# interactive is just a good scripting environment for rapid testing. So I like to use that when I'm rapidly doing like a proof of concept, because I'm basically doing a proof of concept here. I checked out the API a little bit, like for authorization and stuff, but I haven't checked out a lot. So it might seem like I have like done everything in advance, but I only like checked out this bit because I didn't want to stall on the recording side of things. So if we go here and I copy this URL and I put it here, then if I go to my code and I grab this refresh token and I put it at the end of here, what I get, cool. So what I get is, and I can't zoom in on this. So what I get, firstly, I get an access token. So this is good. This is the access token we're going to put in our authorization header here. So I can zoom in here at least. So this is kind of the response we got from here, just for other data types. And so the access token here is going to be used for the authorization header for any other calls we want to make. So if we want to make a call to the Questrade API, we need to provide a token to signify that we're authorized to make that call. If you don't provide that token or provide a faulty token, you will be unauthorized. So that's a 401 HTTP status code. Yeah, and they also provide us with an API server. So this is the URL we're actually going to use to make that call. So that's good. Expires in is a number in seconds, probably, to tell us when it's expired. But what I like to do is, instead of using that, what I'll do is I will just make API calls until I'm unauthorized or I'm forbidden, whatever. And once I do that, I'll just refetch a new token and then do that. So I'll just try it. If it fails, I'll refresh the token. And that's kind of how I like to implement these kind of things. That's just a simpler way to manage things, I feel. And we have the refresh token, which is exactly the same thing we just got. So I should probably copy this. And so I'll show you something here. So this is the new refresh token. And so if I try to do this query again, it should fail. So good. I get a bad request. Bad request is 400 HTTP status code. So it's a 400 bad request. And so now I know I'm not going to get a forbidden. I'm going to get a bad request as an HTTP status code. So that's good learning information. And if I put just a random token, bad request, okay. So I'm never going to get unauthorized, I feel. I'm just going to get a 400 bad request. Okay, that's good. And if I do just something really stupid, that's a bad request. Okay, that kind of sucks. that kind of sucks that they don't tell us if you're actually doing a bad request or you are unauthorized. And so if I want to get, I should probably Control Z or go back to this one. So to test out our theory here, if I pass the newer refresh token here, then it'll work, and I can do this infinitely. Like I could just do this all the time, and it'll work. But we're just going to give up at this point. So if you use a refresh token, it automatically expires afterwards. That's a security feature, obviously. Like, and that actually allows me to film this. Like, there's no API client ID or client secret stuff. It's just a refresh token. But the thing that sucks is if you lose a refresh token, then you have to manually do one on the website. So we kind of have to handle that concern. Like if for some reason the system fails and we have to reboot, we have to remember what's the last refresh token. So it probably has to be persisted. Well, and then persistence sucks because, you know, that's there's extra security concerns there. Obviously, I'm doing this on a local Raspberry Pi, so that's not really going to matter. I don't really have to deal with that too intensely. I can always persisted. I would not like encrypted, but at least encoded. So it's a little bit more obscure, but that's just what's going through my mind. And token type bearer. So bearer is a type of token for the authorization HTTP header. And so, by the way, if you don't know a lot about HTTP, might be a bit confusing. Basically, in HTTP you have headers, and for authorization, so to make HTTP calls that are not available to the public, you want to have authorization in place so only the people that should access to your HTTP calls, only they have access. And one way to implement that is with the authorization header. And so if I'm the API, I look at the authorization header. I can uncode the token and check if, you know, I can either encode data in that token to see who's making the call, or I can, there's a lot of things there's a lot of ways you can implement it. So I'm not going to overextend and say how I know they implemented this, because there's just a bunch of characters, so I don't know. But yeah, you can learn more about that on the internet. I'm just explaining the bare minimum so you understand what we're doing. I'm not really doing a full HTTP course here, but you know, there's a little bit of stuff there. Cool. So I'm saving this last one so we can continue. And so let's go ahead and implement this part in F#. So let's open up Writer and open up StonkWatch. Okay, so I'm going to go in the server project and create a new script. So the first thing we need to talk about is what we're using to do F# HTTP calls. So there's many options, obviously, but the most the most basic one is just using the HTTP client. Yeah, so just using the .NET HTTP client, but that's not really a cool option for F#. There's a few frameworks that are interesting. So there's Oryx. Oryx has a neat way to do queries. So this is kind of what it looks like. And you need, so all of these use the HTTP client, I feel. All the ones I'm going to list. They are, so you can do some JSON stuff. And query, you can put a query terms. Okay, so these are multiple query terms. So this works. So this is like a kind of a modic way of doing things. Well, I think all like this one and FS-HTTP are both kind of using the wrapper types. This one is more with using functions and composition, and FS-HTTP is more geared towards computation expressions. So this is what this one looks like. So instead of doing methods, this one uses computation expressions to do whatever. So for now, I'm going to use Oryx, just because I tend to prefer it more. I just prefer this syntax, and to be honest, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, even just using HTTP client, you can do that. 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Not going to dwell too much. And yeah, so let's go ahead. I'll keep the documentation open. So first thing is we need to include this, so we can do our NuGet, do Oryx. So that's going to link the package in the interactive, and then we can open Oryx. For now, it might not compile. Let's see. So definitely works. There's probably some issues with the interactive for now. I'll leave it like that, or I might have to change it up a little bit. Alternatively, what I can do is I can close the IDE and reopen it. Sometimes it helps. A bit of a hiccup after .NET 5. Okay, still doesn't work. We're gonna power through for now. So I'm just going to copy everything, to be honest, from here for now. Yeah, I don't have to do all this. I'll just copy this stuff for now here. Yeah, and it needs a bunch of stuff. So the kind of annoying thing is this might compile, but I don't get any IntelliSense. Yeah. So I just looked up the bug for this, and apparently it's fixed, but it'll be available in April. So that's like a few weeks from now. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use VS Code. So let's copy all this. And actually what we can do is we can do a... so I have INI-F# installed, and I think I installed this, the .NET Interactive Notebooks. So if I go ahead and create a new one, although it's in preview, so you know, I used it once and it was a bit awkward, but let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, so I forgot to hit record when I did pause. And so what I did is I opened up a new interactive notebook. And the way I did that is I did Control-Shift-P. I opened up this, I clicked on that. And then what I did is I changed this for it to be F# because by default it's C#. Then I copied the content. And then I hit run with Control-Alt-Enter. And yeah, so sorry I misclicked there, or I didn't click. So now we have this request and this query term. And I was trying to look for the if there was any rename refactoring. And there probably is, I just don't know the button for it. And yeah, so I'm kind of being a noob here, so screw it. I'm just gonna go full noob mode, and yeah, just gonna do that. So here, I can run this query with request, and I can pull up my query here, boom, and do, oh yeah, I should probably put it in a string, duh. And I can do run async, and this needs a context, and so I should probably provide that. So there's a few things we need to do here. Firstly, we need to create a context to run this request. So this request returns a IHTTP handler. We give it to this function here, but it needs a HTTP context. So the way we build that is let's do let context is equal to, so our context is going to be context dot default context, and I don't think it's picking it up. Might need a namespace here. So I require, okay, so the documentation, there's a bit of an issue there. Probably outdated, because in the source code it's HTTP context, not just context, so that works. And now I need to do HTTP context dot with HTTP client. So the HTTP client is probably the only thing you need in this context, other than nothing. And so let's do let HTTP client is equal to HTTP client. So we probably need a namespace for this. So systemnet HTTP is the namespace for this. Cool, this works. It says, hey, use new, because this is disposable. So I'm actually going to put an else scope here. So we're going to reuse it. So here I just plug the HTTP context there. So hopefully this is understandable what I'm doing. So what I'm doing here is I am creating an HTTP client, which is a class. It's disposable. So when it's disposable, we use the use keyword. Yeah, in this case, since I'm doing it in a script, the use doesn't really do anything. I'm never used to that because I don't really use the interactive too often. Cool. Yeah, so I'm creating this HTTP client and I'm passing it to this HTTP context, which is something in Oryx, which is the thing that this run async needs. So it's the context of the HTTP. So it includes a bunch of stuff like the headers and what's the client and stuff like that. So the request is more building the request that you're going to do and the workflow. And this is more the context or the environment, if you will. It's kind of way you can look at it. So here I can just do send request, and it's going to take the request and the context, and I'm just going to repass these here. This is totally unnecessary now that I think about it, because I'm not really doing anything extra here. Yeah, so I'm just going to not put this, I was just going to repeat everything. So here I build a request, I run it. This is a task. This will return a task. What I can do is I can do function. So let's put this in a variable. Let's put this task in a variable. So let result task is equal to all this. So this returns a task of result of HTTP content. And for now we can just print it out. So yeah, let's do let print task, I guess, or print whatever. Is going to be equal to, I'm going to do an async here. And in this async, I'm going to do, so let result is equal to the result task. And I can do async.await task on it. So what this will do is it will await a task, it will return an async. So this is now async, but if I put the bang, this is no longer async. And so at this point, I'm just going to print all of it out because it's going to be a bunch of stuff. And yeah, so let's do that. It's going to be our first YOLO try. Do the result, and I'm going to do A, and then I'm going to put result here. And I need to start this task afterwards. So I'm going to, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do print task, and I'm going to do async.start. So if I execute all of this, yeah, it's probably something with the interactive. One sec, let me just try it out. Put it in writer. I don't think the other environment is used to. So two things. First thing is here. I don't think the notebooks are well integrated with the system console out, and so that's probably why I have nothing here. If I just did. So if I just did this, so instead of that, start, yeah, I can't use start. I'll do run synchronously. just because it's not unit. Async start only takes unit, and it makes sense, but just a derp. So here, so it doesn't print out well just because it's not really an F# algebraic type. It's a class type, and they don't have good. They do not have good what's it called, toStrings. So one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the JSON options. This here. So hopefully you can this serialize the request I get, and I probably should add this probably if I were to guess. And let's open system text as well. So this is not defined. Might be the doc that's not up to date. One sec. So I'm kind of an idiot here. I can just do I can do it here. I don't have to do it in a computation expression. I do await task and then do async that run synchronously, and then not do print out, so do result task. This is a bad name. Boom. Yeah, so system text namespace does not find. Let's try to see if we can figure out what it is that it needs. Okay, so after a bit of research, it's its own package, so I have to include it. So that's why it wasn't working. And so like that. And then I should be able to do that. So if I do Oryx system, man, it's not going to work for now, but like that. And not sure if this is all it needs, but let's try it. So installing the package, no. I think there was the last thing. Yeah, response reader, good. Should be fine now. Value restriction, type, bum, bum, bum. So I'll add an explicit type annotation here. The value it has been inferred to whatever. Define it as a simple data term, blah, blah, blah. So if I'll just do let result is equal to all of this, should be a bit better, and it still needs that. Because the fact that I'm not using it, and the type reference is having a hard time defining what type it is, so that's why it's bugging a little bit. Cool. So now I actually want to print it out, or to put it to string and consume the data. I can do await task, and I can do fun async, I don't know, front A, do async return a dot, no, I actually need to unbang it, or to bang it, let a equals a. So this will unwrap the async. So this is a task. I await the task, so I get an async. Then I take the result, I do a function. In an async computation expression, I do let a equals a. So I can do let a1 or whatever. I can give another name. If I do this, it just shadow defines this. Or so like I can do like let result equals a if you want, but I could just simply do that. And the a that I use here is going to be a to display string. It's going to be the sorry, I'm just losing my mind here. I totally forgot what I was saying. So if I unwrap it, it's going to become a result. Hopefully I didn't totally scare people here. Cool, so now I get the string. I'm going to return that. So in an async computation expression, you need to return things in order to raise them back up to the async world, as I explained in my async video. Basically, so this unwraps it and return rewraps it. So now we get an async, and then we can run synchronously. So yeah, we get that, and then we get nothing. So that's great. I'll just do a normal toString, since it's bugging. All right, so now I have an F# result. So I can match on this. So we can match. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do, whoa. Screw it, I'm going to do it here. So I can do match A with, and I'm just going to rename it because I'm probably bugging people watching the video. Thank God I'm recording, okay. OK of X, I'm just going to print X, or I'm going to string interpolate and say OK, and then I'm going to do X here. So here, what I do is, oh, I totally screwed that up. There you go. And then this one's fine, yeah. So if it's, so this is a result. If it's OK, this will be an object because it has a lot of trouble. Yeah, it has a lot of trouble with the type inference right now. And I'm probably not helping. So one sec. But if it's an error, E, do the same thing. Oops. And do string E. Alright, so let's run this. Oh yeah, I need to return because we're in an async loop, or async computation expression. Oops, alright, so we have our expression. B is an invalid start of a value. You see? So it says B here, and I don't know if you recall, but in Postman, if we do a bad request, this is what we get in return. We get bad requests. So I believe that's what's being returned to us. Yeah, so we're getting an error. And how can we rectify this? Well, firstly, we can get a new token. So I'll generate a new token. Okay, so I generate a new token. Paste it here. And go again. Cool. So now we get actually all the content that we want here. So we get the access token, we get the API server, everything. And it's serialized. So what's X here? It's object. Probably have to make a type for that. And yeah, so I'll end it for here right now. So now we just like scribbled up and used F# to write out a HTTP request. And so in the next episode, we're going to go even deeper in this. And we're going to extract the data out, parse it, and use types to represent what a connection to the Questrade API is. And so we can have our access token or refresh token and our API server on deck and abstract it away from user requests. That might be a bit further, but we're going to start there. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll send out to the outro.